you're having a great day. I am Matthew Fresquez. This is the Matthew Fresquez Show. Thanks for tuning in. Up on next week's show, episode 4, I will be having Arizona State lineman Andrew Sampson. I cannot wait for that. I'm pumped for that. It's going to be our first athlete interview, so I thank you to Mr. Andrew Sampson. Up on this show, we got a big show, busy show coming in. We have my guest, Clinton Smith. Clinton, how you doing today?
Hey, Fresquez. I'm doing good, man. Doing good. Just chilling.
Right on. Good to have you on the show. Thanks for doing this for me.
Yes, sir, indeedy.
Okay, so last week we missed out on a couple NFL games as we're doing this on Thursday, but we all saw Michael Vick's performance, which was by far the best performance of the weekend, I'd have to say. I don't know how you felt about it. But,
huge.
Yeah.
I mean, he came out pretty explosive on that one. I mean, everybody's had high hopes for him throughout the season, you know, especially with McNabb leaving and everything. But, you know, that blowout game that he just had this past week, it was pretty intense.
It's good to see him get back to where he was, and he's definitely a better quarterback than he was with the Falcons at any point during his career.
I was watching something, and he was having a talk. And what he mentioned is he's become his work ethic, and he has Donovan McNabb to thank for that. He's gained so much more work ethic than with the Falcons.
Yeah, and he mentioned that. He mentioned how with Atlanta he was the first one in, first one out, or last one in, first one out, and now he's exact opposite. He's the first one in and the last one out, and he's actually getting some work ethic. Now, this game that he played against the Redskins has raised a lot of questions on, is he the best quarterback in the NFL? And I'd just like to get your thought process on, you know, your top 5 quarterbacks, and is he even in your top 5 quarterbacks?
Now, top 5, yeah, he's getting close. I don't know if I'd quite put him there yet. Now, best quarterback overall, I don't think he's quite there yet. Now, does he have some of the best talent? Yes, indeed. But as far as, like, quarterbacks go, I would definitely put, I'll keep Aaron Rodgers up there. Aaron Rodgers is still strong. He's leading Green Bay right now. They're doing great. Donovan McNabb's still putting up some good numbers. Peyton Manning, he's still always not having one of his down years, but he's still got a good year going on. Tom Brady, always a show-out player. But, an up-and-comer that I see that I'm really liking, and this isn't even being biased, I just see it, is Sam Bradford. I don't know, but Rookie of the Year, possibly. He is having a show-out year right now.
I agree. With the team around him, Sam Bradford is having an excellent year. I did not expect that to come, and honestly, I was worried about him getting hurt with the problems, and you see it in Detroit with Stafford. Stafford's getting hurt because he just does not have the protection that he needs, and I was worried the same thing would happen to Bradford. My top quarterbacks are pretty much like yours. Number 1, I got Peyton Manning. He's basically out there with the practice squad, and he's still doing what he's doing. Tom Brady looked amazing against the Steelers last week. He's always looking good. Matt Ryan has turned around the Falcons after Vick left. He's a great thrower. He's my number 3. And my number 4 might surprise all of you, but Kyle Orton. Kyle Orton is putting up the kind of numbers to have a Pro Bowl season. And if you had a team around him, he would definitely be a premier quarterback, just not a lot of people talking about him. Phillip Rivers.
I am looking at him right now. He does have some impressive numbers, so, I am surprised by that, especially the year that the Broncos are having.
Exactly. And you think that would lead to more wins for the Broncos, but they just can't quite get it going offensively and defensively altogether. Number 5, I have Phillip Rivers, and then I put Vick at 6. I think if Vick didn't miss those 3 games, he would definitely be up there. And the thing that surprises me is no interceptions for Vick, and that is something that I did not expect coming from him.
Yeah, and again, just playing time. You got to get that playing time first before you can actually start getting up to the top of the list with the rest of these big boys. All
right, let's switch gears just a little bit. I got an email from Dave in Boulder, and he was asking Super Bowl predictions. What are you thinking for the Super Bowl? We're 10, 11 weeks in, whatever we are. What are you seeing for the Super Bowl and for the playoffs?
As of right now, it is a toss-up. There's just been some insane years, like Cowboys dropping off. Nobody saw that coming. I thought the Broncos were going to be better.
Agreed.
The Raiders coming out of nowhere.
Agreed.
Who would have seen that coming? But as of right now, the Falcons are going strong. The Steelers, they're always a powerhouse. I don't know what the deal is with them, but I would not mind to see, either like the Packers go in again or even the Buccaneers. Like they're they probably won't make it, but it's surprising how well they're doing, especially the seasons that they've been having these past couple of years. I'm telling you, it's been rough.
Yeah, and for them to do what they're doing, it's very impressive. For me, in the NFC, I see the Falcons, the Packers, the Eagles, and I think the Rams with Bradford, if he keeps it up, they're going to win the West. In the wild card, I see the Giants and the Saints. So that's kind of my NFC playoff picture right there.
Yeah, well, the thing was with the Rams, I'm not going to lie, I would love to see the Rams go, but they've just had a couple crucial losses that have, kind of torn, knocked them off of the rankings to get them in that position. Yeah,
and the only reason that I would say the Rams is just because that division is so weak. The Cardinals can't get anything going. The Niners can't get, and I don't trust the Seahawks to do much.
So maybe late bloomers,
maybe a little late bloomer, and you might not even have to be a late bloomer. With that, you might be 7-9 and somehow make the playoffs in that division. It's a pretty bad division. Now in the AFC, I'm looking at the Steelers, the Jets, the Colts. I think the Raiders will win the West, and then I think the Patriots and the Ravens will be the wild card. You got some pretty good teams there. The only team I don't think will be able to hang is the Raiders. I think the Raiders will be the early one out in that group.
They will, because they're just now getting up to par, so it'll take them a while.
Yeah, it's good to see them in the playoffs and coming back a little bit, but not this year. And I see for both the championship games, I see the Falcons actually defeating the Eagles and the Steelers defeating the Colts. If the Colts had any kind of health around them, but they keep getting hurt, and I just don't see Peyton can only do so much in winning a Super Bowl or leading them to a Super Bowl.
Clark going out. Gosh, that was so rough. I watched that. Yeah. That looked like it hurt.
Yeah, that was that looked painful. So, Dave, for you, my Super Bowl predictions are Falcons Steelers, and I have the Falcons beating the Steelers in the Super Bowl.
Thank you.
I like the way the Falcons are playing, and I don't know if I trust the Steelers fully to win the Super Bowl. I don't know about you.
No, I don't at all. So I like those picks. I'll go with those.
That's all we have for the NFL, and we're going to move on to the NCAA now. As always, the big topic is BCS and how that'll change and how it'll look in the end. And let's talk big games. The two big games that I see: Ohio State going to Iowa. I think that's going to be hard for Ohio State, and Nebraska at Texas A&M. Both challenges. I don't know how you feel about those games, but those are my two big games for the weekend.
Yeah, those are solid picks. I definitely got Oregon and Arizona. This is a big game for Arizona, especially the showing that they had last week was a little shaky. And Arizona is not a pushover team. Definitely a highly rated team right now, and so Oregon's got to do big on that one. You know what I'm saying? And then you also got Stanford and Cal. Stanford's got to step it up. If they want to keep that number 6 spot. And also from the SEC, LSU. They've been getting close wins. It's been pretty much luck at the end of the final seconds. So they're going against Ole Miss. They really got to step it up right now. I'm telling you, it's looking shaky for them.
Yeah, and if they don't, I'm picking them to win the SEC just because Auburn has a little bit of a rougher road ahead of them than they do. But if LSU doesn't handle their business, then they're going to be out of it, and it's going to end up being Auburn that wins the SEC.
Oh, it'll be, unless the only thing that's going to come down to that one is I think Alabama could come up in Iron Bowl next week and have a chance to put Auburn, in their place, knock them down a few notches. That's the only thing holding Auburn from making it to the next step of that BSU championship game.
Exactly. And with that much, I think, honestly, Boise, with the performance that they had last week and with the pretty bad performance that TCU had almost losing, that Boise will put on a show, and Boise will end up just hopping over TCU and putting Boise in the 3 spot. And if Auburn ends up losing Alabama, you're looking at Boise in the 2 spot.
I'm going to have to actually respectfully disagree with your choice on that one there. I'm going to have to go ahead and say I think TCU, they had a shaky first half right there, and it wasn't all that good. But I think they can hold that number 3 spot. I have faith in TCU. I have faith that TCU will be able to, and if Auburn does get that lose, bump TCU to that number 2 spot, and you got Oregon and TCU playing in the national championship. I like those odds. I know you don't, but hey.
Well, I think either way, we're going to see a non-big conference team playing in the championship game, and I'm a little excited about that to finally see some of these.
I'm always happy to see that.
Yeah, see some of these lower teams get their chances.
No doubt.
I got a few emails this week. One from Andrew was wanting us to dissect the Pac-10, and Cody pretty much had the same thing from Birmingham, wanted us to dissect the Pac-10, saying that the Pac-10's an up-and-coming conference, minus USC with the all the allegations and penalties that they have going on.
And mine gaining Colorado. Let's not forget that either.
Yeah.
That's gonna hurt them a little bit.
Yeah, not a good move for Colorado either. But right now, I don't see any moves at the top of the Pac-10. I see Oregon winning the Pac-10, finishing undefeated, and I see Stanford finishing with one loss like they are now, finishing second. And the way it shakes down right now is you take USC out, and then it goes Arizona, Oregon State, Cal, UCLA, Washington, Arizona State, and Washington State. This weekend, I see Arizona State getting a win and moving up in the conference a little bit, but besides the top three, I see pretty much staying set as of right now, and probably all the way to the end of the year.
They're not bad teams. I mean, I give it to the Pac-10. They do have some powerhouse. They got some strong players, definitely. The only problem is they're not quite there yet. They don't have the caliber of players or the caliber of teams that you might see in the SEC or the Big 12. They're just not there yet. They're getting there. I think adding Colorado is going to kill them just a little bit, though.
Well, I would agree. They have the powerhouse at the top. They have the top two or three teams.
Oregon, fastest team.
By far the fastest team in the nation. And so if you were to compare the SEC, the Pac-10, and the Big 12 and the Big 10, top two teams, they're right there. But once you go 5 teams deep, the Pac-10 just doesn't compete with the other conferences.
No, definitely not.
Now for the bowl predictions, I actually got a email from Heather in Loveland asking bowl predictions for the big bowl games. Well, right now I see the ACC champion being Virginia Tech, the Big 12 champion being Oklahoma State. I think they'll end up beating Nebraska in the Big 12 championship game. The Big East is going to go to Pittsburgh. Big 10 to Michigan State. The Pac-10, like I just said, Oregon will win out there. And even though you respectfully decline, the SEC will go to LSU, and that's just my thought process.
Yeah, see, and I gotta say, I think it'll go to Auburn if and only if they can. Well, actually, you know what? Even if they lose to Alabama, they're still the SEC. They're still going to the SEC championship no matter what, and I still think they will win out because LSU they can't get it done. They have been getting so lucky on so many different occasions.
I definitely see where you're coming on that. And if you were to play out, let's say you agree with all the rest of them, but then we change the SEC to Auburn. Now, would you have Auburn still be at number 2, or would you have Auburn be somewhere in 5-6 range?
See, that's the thing. Say they did lose to Alabama, all right, and they did go on to win the SEC championship. They still got to go down to number 4 or number 5 at least, because you still got 3 other unbeaten teams with TCU, Boise State, and Oregon up there at top. So they got to knock down. You can't keep them up at the top.
I would agree. So my bowl predictions would be the BCS championship game will be Oregon versus Boise State. The Sugar Bowl for me will be LSU versus TCU. Yours would therefore would be Auburn versus TCU. The Orange Bowl.
No, I'm going to say Oregon TCU. That's mine right there.
Oregon TCU. Okay, Oregon TCU is your championship game. Therefore, your Sugar Bowl game will be Auburn Boise.
Exactly.
The Orange Bowl, I just have Virginia Tech as the ACC representative, but I do not know who the at-large bid will be for that one. The Fiesta Bowl, I see Oklahoma State as they're going to be Nebraska versus Pittsburgh. And in the Rose Bowl, I see Stanford versus Michigan State, which honestly, the best game that I see on there, it will either be Oregon and Boise State or Oregon TCU and Stanford Michigan State.
For that ACC game, I could definitely see Florida State being in that. They are definitely a strong team, and having played against them, for a little bit, they got some speed and they can hit.
Well, that's all we have for you today. I'd like to thank my guest, Clinton Smith. Thank you very much for joining me.
Oh, I got you, Squeezy. You know I love you, baby. I'd like to give a few shout-outs to my boy Sean Thompson and Cody Pittman over at Sanford. I love you guys and my wonderful, beautiful, and amazing girlfriend.
Right on. Thank you very much for tuning in. Don't forget on the show next time, Arizona State lineman Andrew Sampson. Follow me on Twitter and tweet at me at Matthew Fresquez. Like the Facebook page, The Matthew Fresquez Show. Send in your emails to MatthewFresquezShow@gmail.com. Ask questions for me or Andrew Sampson for the next show. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm out.